What's up?
There we go. Now everything's hunky dory, right where we wanted it to be. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hey, everybody.
What a weekend it's been. What a crazy, crazy, fun, exciting weekend it's been. If you're a wrestling fan and you watched ROH, their pay-per-view this Friday afternoon, you were shocked to see the almost dismemberment of Dante Martin as he and El Cero Miedo did one of the most crazy stunts I'd ever seen. They were on a ladder, which was on the top rope, and they bounced off of that onto two chairs doing a Canadian destroyer, which did not land correctly, and Dante fell off, dragging Cero Miedo with him. And when they came to the ground, he took the full weight of both of them and crumbled his leg below the knee. By the time he finished tumbling, his foot was facing the wrong way. Don't know if that's going to, well, I kind of do know, but I hope he makes a full and speedy recovery and is able to return back to wrestling as soon as possible. And I don't know if he's going to be doing any flippy doos anymore. That was his bread and butter as he was making his way in the industry and starting fresh. But speedy recovery to Dante Martin.
They say high risk, high reward in the matches. It sounds good. We've heard it on commentary. In reality, all these flippy guys who are risking their necks, Ricochet is the greatest out of all of that. And where is he in the world? He's the guy that they stick into the tag match. It's a high risk with a low reward, with a little bit of TV time. All your flips and high risk stuff that you're doing for entertainment. You were on an ROH pay-per-view, but do they ever put you on the AEW pay-per-views? Wrestlers who do it, who participate in the flips, got to rethink that. Not only are they minimalizing, the regular moves from top rope, like a frog splash, like a senton, like the standard things that everyone can do. Not only are they diminishing it by doing these moves so much that are more impressive and getting kicked out of the 450 springboard, whatchamacallit, you're also not advancing anywhere. Tony Khan and Triple H are not valuing you, or Vince McMahon, depending on who you want to think is running the company. These guys don't actually reward that. They've never have. Rey Mysterio is an exception to it, but he's got a lot going for himself too. The mask, the death of Eddie Guerrero, which made him, there's a lot that happened with Rey Mysterio, but I can't look at that one example and say that, okay, well, we got a main eventer, a Hall of Famer actually, and then say he's the blueprint, because there's a whole lot more Randy Ortons, and not to crap on Randy Orton, but there's a whole lot more of them than there are of Rey's.
Well, the thing about Rey Mysterio is that, aside from being the exception that proves the rule, that only the big guys and the giants are the ones that make money, Rey has always been in a position. The whole idea is that you are ready for the opportunity when it happens. And he's always been ready when the opportunity happens, and he's always known somebody who could give him that. And if you listen to his, 45-minute story time at the induction of the Hall of Fame, he made sure to mention that Conan was who he knew, and Eddie was who he knew when he went to one place to another. So it's mostly who you know, who you're related to, and being ready when the door opens. But as for Dante Martin, man, that was just that was rough looking. I don't know if you had a chance to see it or not.
Saw it.
Nate,
I saw the GIF.
Hmm.
Hi, Nate.
What's up, Rosales? Chillmonger? How you guys doing?
Doing good.
you into the wrestling?
Yeah, actually, yeah, a little bit. Been watching AEW for about 2, 3. Well, ever since it started airing.
too.
What is that a bad thing here?
No, no, it's not a bad thing at all. It's WrestleMania weekend, so we're covering it. It's not something we normally cover on this show, but I am a fan. I do keep up with the matches, and I do follow the AEW.
Yeah, I haven't watched a single episode of Raw or SmackDown for like a few years now. Ever since AEW kind of came onto the scene.
Have
I
you
don't know.
been? Did you keep up with the first day of the WrestleMania?
I saw highlights of the Hall of Fame indoctrination ceremony, but no, I haven't really kept up on any of the matches or anything like that.
I'm
Oh.
surprised Seth Rollins beat Logan Paul.
Wait, Logan Paul? Oh, Jesus Christ! That kind of crap right there is why I stopped watching WWE.
Yeah, he's not as
You know
bad
what?
as you think, man. He can like do some moves. He's hated. He's got it.
He
Well,
is he is
I-
everything the Miz used to be in his time.
well,
Just
I could do the exact same crap if I lost about 50 pounds and trained with a bunch of people for a few months. So
yeah, but he breaks himself every time he goes out. You know, he goes from coast. He does the coast to coast thing because you got to replace Shane, and he winds up pulling something, and it's just it's he's under contract. He's been under contract since before Vince was dutifully removed, and then now has snaked his way back in.
And he's
to
a
gorilla
YouTuber
position.
like us. He and KSI, and they were holding it down for us on Saturday.
But yeah,
well, I was trying to find it, gentlemen, but I know I got my Malachi Black shirt around here somewhere. Damn. On the back it says all the fakes are snakes. It's awesome.
so we got the just a real quick recap of Saturday night. The Street Profits went over Braun Strowman, Ricochet, King of the Flippies, and Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders, who've I think have stalled since they're called to the main roster. Damage Control versus Lita and Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. The classics went over.
The classics, nice.
Rey Mysterio took a belt literally to his son Dominic in the ring, and
And the referee didn't call that a DQ. Wasn't that a foreign object? I guess because you brought it with you to the ring as part of your attire, so you were allowed to spank somebody with the belt. Is that the rules? I don't know.
well, it opens the door for Cody Rhodes tonight.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's tonight?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
okay.
main event tonight. So
I
go ahead, please.
was just going to say, just from looking at all this, poor Ricochet, man. I like the guy. I knew him as Prince Puma when he was wrestling in Lucha Underground. He's very underutilized, man. Like it's very sad what they've done with him in WWE.
Yeah, it's hard for them to undo what they've done when they buried them initially.
Mm-hmm.
It was Vince turning his nose to the future by bringing everybody up and then burying them initially, and then rebranding them once they were torn to shreds into something that was completely unusable, which is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
So John Cena puts over Austin Theory. Seth Rollins didn't put over Logan Paul because his contract's probably coming up. We won't be seeing Logan Paul for too much longer. But sadly, it looks like we're going to be having a little more Bad Bunny.
Oh God.
So,
What do you guys have against these celebrities? Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, they actually do well. They're the few.
You know,
Snoop Dogg,
I've finally had to accept the fact that I'm probably at an age now where I'm starting to get what's called grumpy old man syndrome. Anything that's trendy now, I'm just like, man, I don't want to be part of that shit. Like,
you're kind of right. There are these celebrity appearances, like when Jeremy Piven was promoting his movie, and then on the mic he was talking about SummerSlam. He called it Summerfest, and I'm like, you don't know the product. Go away. There are times where celebrities stink the joint up, but Snoop Dogg was there, and he's going to be there today too. And Snoop Dogg's pretty good.
Right.
He's hosting the LA forum. What's it called? The sci.
I like Snoop. Snoop's cool.
Snoop's
It's
cool.
just, it's
with the
just,
lowrider with Eddie Guerrero music playing, driving Rey Mysterio to the ring. Like that's too much.
I've just never been a Paul of a Paul. I've just never been a big fan of the Paul brothers or any of their crazy antics, and I don't even know who the hell Bad Bunny is. Like someone tried to ask me, and someone tried to tell me, "Oh, you know, Bad Bunny's gonna be at WrestleMania." I'm like, "Who the fuck is Bad Bunny?"
Somewhere in your late 20s, the gene of acceptance dies off, and you are no longer able to accept anything, no matter how good it is. So,
The only thing I recognize Bad Bunny from is that cameo he had in Bullet Train last year. That's it.
I don't think I caught any of this stuff. My friend said I could have watched it. I don't know, man.
I bet you wish you watched it now, Warren.
Hell no. Hell no. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, when I found, like, the thing that stops me from watching wrestling is I think the greatest component of wrestling is the referees. Everything else can be great, right? But then the referee gets knocked out, and then or the chair gets thrown at him, or he's like talking, and like the guy's has a pin, and I'm like, screw you, referee. So I'm not watching that until that's why.
You know what's crazy? The first match of the night had that exact thing happen where the referee goes out and John Cena thought he won the match, but there was nowhere there to count. Then he turns around, ref, why aren't you counting? And then in comes Austin to beat him. That happened just the way you played it out.
You know, me and my uncles, you know, because they're the ones that got me into wrestling in the first place, they've kind of taught me throughout the years that, you know, it's not necessarily the storylines that make wrestling great. You know, even though there have been some great fucking storylines in the history of wrestling, dude. Like Stone Cold versus The Rock will always be like some of my favorite wrestling from the Attitude Era, always. But I think it all kind of comes down to what we've discussed is pretty much the psychology between the performers in the ring. You know, if their psychology is great and, you know, their wrestling technique is on par with each other and they're just going at it and putting on a really good show, then, you know, it's a really good, entertaining match. And, you know, whoever wins. And as long as the show is great, cool.
It doesn't stop at the win. You make me think about when Kevin and
Right.
Sammy finally won their match. On one rope was Kevin. On the opposite rope was Sammy, and the camera zoomed in on their faces, and they were like, you know, mystical, teary eyes, and the other one was also that way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just chilling. And you think about, like, man, these two dudes from Quebec, about 20 years ago, they met each other, and now they just became the tag champions of the world. It's a main event match. There's 80,000 people here who have sold out this arena for two people who, you know, didn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch, and then came up, and every step and level of their career they got to, you know, like and the commentary did kind of play up their past. I think even El Generico got mentioned, which is like a character who we don't know who's under the mask. We just believe it's to be Sami Zayn, but it's never been confirmed. But even El Generico's career got brought up here in this. It was crazy.
Right.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but that's what I'm trying to say. What you were getting at actually happened when it was more so about the physical, the psychological freaking storytelling.
Yeah. Psychology is always great.
The in-ring psychology is the storytelling in the match. So, you know, you have a beginning, a middle, and end. And depending on who's going to be going over, you know, the struggle, you know, like in John Cena's case, the struggle. I'm not holding on. I'm going to keep going. The struggle is the story itself. He thinks he won, he didn't win, and I think earlier in the day there was a for the NXT there was a ladder match going on, and it was there were 6 women in it, and there was a banger of a match. But there was a point I told my wife, I said they missed an opportunity because back when ladder matches had just started, a wrestler would get confused as to what kind of match they were doing. They would get caught up in the exchange after exchange after exchange. They'd hit their finisher and then go for a pin, and then they would forget that no, you don't get the pin. You have to use the ladder to go up and get the rope or the briefcase or whatever it was. And I saw an exchange that would have been perfect for that, and the crowd would have been so into it, they would have just eaten it alive, because the psychology was there for it and it was ready for it. They just didn't do it. Apparently they don't have somebody old enough in the back producing the match, but that would have been a great.
Wow, you're such an old timer.
I am.
Uh-huh.
It would have been a great one to pull from.
Maybe they should dig up Mean Gene from the grave to
He comes from a time when JR did not have his crazy messed up face from the stroke that he had.
Oh my goodness. JR had a baby face when he started.
JR is fucking
brown
great.
and chubby, and he was doing multiple shows for different territories at the same time. It was great.
I'm glad he's still doing commentary, but even there are times where I'm like, man, JR, you probably need to sit this one out, man.
I'll tell you what, he's had a couple before he goes on.
Oh, totally. Like, how could he not? He's probably in the back having a couple drinks with the guys. He may have snorted a line. I don't know.
Who knows what's going on?
We will not besmirch the good name of Jim Ross, okay?
Greatest commentary out of his mouth. I forget what match it was. What was the match where he goes, "Oh my God, he's broken in half"?
That was JR, Undertaker and Mankind when they did that bump off of the cage.
Oh, off the steel cage.
Yes.
Oh God. Oh my God, he's broken in half.
As God is my witness, he's broken in half. And then when Shane McMahon jumped from the cell in the WrestleMania match against Taker, Michael Cole was reading a paper, and it said, "For the love of mankind, Shane McMahon just broke that through a table." And I'm like, bro, you're reading the paper. It's not organic. JR just came up with that on the spot. You were trying to be clever for the love of mankind. I get it, mankind. But still, you guys watch that clip again, everyone, even if it means leaving this live stream. Michael Cole is reading a paper.
Is that the one where they had the crash pad underneath them?
That would be the one.
Table?
Mm-hmm. It's almost like ever since Undertaker and Mankind went off the top of the cell, it's almost like everybody in wrestling is like, well, Undertaker and Mankind did it. How can we outdo them?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? They didn't have concussion protocol back then the way they should have. And
not after Benoit. Oh, I'm sorry.
Always believed that the wrestler when they said, "I can still go." What was it? There was a match that
Daniel Bryan?
No. It was Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle suffered a concussion when Triple H was trying to do a pedigree on the table, and the table collapsed. And he fell on him straight up and sandwiched him between that board and the floor and himself. And he didn't know what he was doing, and they were feeding him the match to get him through it.
And there was 3 people in the match.
Yeah, and he was working concussed, and Stephanie was calling audibles from the outside of the ring. It's not like the one that happened recently where they just ended the match. No, they kept going, and he did I think a moonsault off of the corner. Like, what do I do now? What do I do now? And none of that he remembers asking. This is what they told him days later that he was asking, because he didn't remember.
Oh, wow.
He remembers dressing for the match and getting ready. He doesn't remember going to the ring. He doesn't remember entering the match. He doesn't remember doing the match. He doesn't remember getting concussed. He definitely didn't remember anything.
I saw that happen even on the independent scene. A friend of mine had a match. He got a concussion during the match. And then after the match, he's like, "I don't even remember what happened." I'm like, "No, really? You don't remember anything?" "No, can't remember the match entirely." And I'm like, "That's crazy," because it's just like the Kurt Angle story, and it's valid. And we gotta, even though the sport is a fake sport, and no, the referee isn't really counting to 3 to see if you had enough to get out, even though it's
Yeah,
illegitimate.
fuck those referees.
Okay, just respect the performers is all I'm saying to all the viewers. Have a little bit of a courtesy to these athletes who put their bodies through a unique set of risks.
It's still
morning,
very
Michael.
much. It's still very much a testament to a person's ability to perform athletically, and man, we may be sitting at home watching this stuff on live television, joking about, oh, how I could do that. Nah, these guys and these women, they're on a whole another level than us, man. Like, they're great.
Very much so. Kudos to everybody. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Warren, please.
No, I respect the performers, because I mean they have to receive some sort of bruising and beat up to their body. So I definitely respect the performers, but the referees, they can get a backhand from me. Yeah.
No, but you don't get it.
What about Aubrey? She's like the most over referee in history.
How over she is.
Hey, Jessica Carr was the first ever female referee in a women's title match at WrestleMania, and even the ring announcer was a woman. Huh? Is it F ring announcers too, Warren?
You got people chanting Aubrey's name. They're like, Aubrey, Aubrey, Aubrey.
We say, I think in comics we say the greatest, the greatest person is the way the greatest villain or hero is determined by the writers. It's not determined by and that's how a wrestling match is. It's determined by a referee. So that's why I think that's my kind of correlation between the two. But maybe if I'm high or I'm drunk, I'll watch it. But for now, nah. I think there was like one match where I saw where Sami Zayn was fighting. What's that guy that looks like Jason Momoa? I don't remember. I don't remember. I was like, Hobo Man.
You talking about Roman Reigns?
Tribal Chief?
Tribal Chief, yeah.
Any number of Samoans.
I thought it was like, wow, we got Hobo Man versus Aquaman. Like, this was like,
guy that looks like looks like Jason Momoa. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I that's how much I don't care. But I thought the fight was okay. But oh yeah, pick up. He's from Canada. Yeah, and he didn't even win the match. It's like, fuck off, referee. Sorry.
All right, so I'm going to go
on. That's like saying screw all yellow blocked narrators in comic books.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say if all 4 of us magically end up at WrestleMania or some kind of wrestling event, we need to keep him away from ringside because he might attack the referee.
I swear to God, I'd probably be that guy in the crowd, and you think, oh, is this an act? I'll throw like a beer bottle at that referee.
He's gonna get in the ring and get suplexed.
Let's keep him ringside and liquored up.
He's going to get in the ring and get suplexed by Triple H. Have you guys seen that video of that guy that jumped the ring and Triple H just he like the smackdown on that son of a bitch, man?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
I saw the one where Randy Orton took a bump for him because he didn't know what was going on. He thought it was another wrestler.
Yeah, that was a little bit recent.
Yeah, he was standing up in the corner, and he's got his arms in the air. He's up on the second rope, and the guy comes in and gives him one of the low blows, and he just falls down and realizes that
he was trying to sell it.
I think that was in South Africa. I think that was like 6 years ago in South Africa. I just want to show off because I think I know things, but I think let me double check that. But
yeah, why don't you tell us what's on the agenda for tonight's WrestleMania? Because I don't know what's besides the Roman Reigns thing.
I like Cody Rhodes, so that's pretty much the only thing I care about.
You got to go to the WrestleMania Wikipedia rhymes.
Cody Rhodes left AEW, and instead we got salty ass CM Punk.
Mania 39. There are 7 matches today. You never know. There might be like a surprise match though.
Oh yeah.
39. The first match on the card, according to the Wikipedia order, doesn't really mean it will be. Is going to be night 2. Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Intercontinental title. And then the next match is a women's WrestleMania showcase. It's a 4-way tag match. Basically the same thing the men just did with 8 females who were not good enough to be on a card, but they're like, hey, you worked all year. We're going to give you something. We got the Hell in a Cell, Edge versus Finn Balor. Why is Edge doing this match? I thought you said you were wrestling on borrowed time. I hope this is just like one little quick stunt and that's it. I don't want Edge to damage himself even further.
So I got a question. Has Finn Balor like officially retired the demon persona, or is he still doing that?
Of course he did, just like Ric Flair retired. So it's coming back tonight.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome, dude.
He'll get cheered if he wears the demon paint.
Dude, his pop is gonna be ridiculous if he comes out wearing that.
After that match, that's 3. And then Brock Lesnar versus Omos with MVP ringside. I'm sure the referee is gonna, do the whole "you're out of here, pal" to MVP for getting involved.
Oh man.
Warren, do you like that when the referees take initiative and they dismiss these shenanigans?
I just don't get. I want them to get cripples when they freaking.
Oh my god! Wow.
Bianca Belair versus Asuka is a women's title match, and then we know Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman.
Love Asuka, man.
Do you? I'm rooting for Bianca Belair. She's the EST.
I don't know, man. I've just always liked Asuka. I think she's got a great gimmick, and she's a great in-ring performer.
When they say the men's match is for the undisputed Universal Championship, does that mean that both of the championship titles are going to be up for grabs?
Yes.
Okay. Why can't we just divide it into one guy goes to Raw, one guy goes to SmackDown again?
Well, that's how they had it for a while when the networks were spatting with each other like bad children. They had to separate their toys. And so that's the way that was for a while. But they've been waiting for so damn long to get their mileage out of Roman Reigns. When they finally got him over, they weren't going to let that go. They built this whole bloodline thing on him, and it's lasted more than a year. He's been unstoppable, unbeatable for that entire time period. So,
yeah, they've been trying to give him a push for about a little over a decade now.
Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it, but I think the reason he would lose it tonight is because of contractual agreements. I think that's the only reason Cody Rhodes came back was so that he could do that. And so
I don't think they would ever give someone that's some Bret Hart level of creative control that they know better than to give a wrestler. But with The Rock being the cousin of Roman and him not having the Rock match, I don't know. I think The Rock is still gonna have to be having a title match against Roman Reigns before they can strip him of the belts. Roman, he went through.
He's gonna have some free time now.
He sure will. Drew McIntyre in Clash of the Castle, Montreal against Sami Zayn. And no matter what the circumstance is, Roman Reigns always win. And here is a video of The Rock. I'll skip to the ending where he kind of brings up Roman Reigns.
Behind the scenes, behind the curtain. So thank you in advance. Boots on the ground predictions, and thank you so much for all your.
He mentions Roman Reigns somewhere here.
And now WWE Universe, deeply rooted in our DNA history, and 2 things that I always underscore: move the crowd, and is really intense. And then
I'm trying to find it.
You're creating again that, especially the main event.
Okay.
With my cousin Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, and to my family, my Ainga, my Ohana, the entire bloodline, Jay, Jimmy, Solo. We're so proud of you guys. Kick ass, electrify SoFi Stadium. Do what you do. It is in our blood, and who knows? Maybe. Just maybe down the road, I'll see you in person. Maybe. I'll just leave it at that. And of course,
and then he starts talking about. But maybe, just maybe, doesn't that sound like there's going to be? That doesn't mean title match, but it does sound like he's got some unfinished business with Roman Reigns.
Well, yeah, and again, free time.
Love or hate that man, you cannot deny he is an icon. He is truly an icon.
I will tell you this. I know they didn't give it to Sammy, even though he deserved to win it in Canada. Probably
Place called
because
Montreal.
he cannot and will not, absolutely not, 100%, ever go to Saudi Arabia. The man is Syrian and has a charity for the Syrians going that he supports. And as the champion, if you're going to be for any extended period of time and not just the overnight transition, you've got to go. You got to go. You got to represent where you're getting the bulk of your money from, and I mean the WWE's getting their money from Saudi Arabia. So, without him being able to go there, he was not able to win. And I think that they brought Cody in for a quick win, and he'll probably give it up at SummerSlam or Backlash, or no, he'll keep it for Backlash. But I think he's only got it for a short time, and then they have an opportunity to build back to The Rock and Roman Reigns.
What about Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre? Who do you guys think is going to win that?
I think there's going to be a lot of busted blood vessels.
Yeah,
it's gonna.
There's a lot of slabs of meat in that fucking ring. Holy shit!
What Stone Cold Steve Austin used to call keeping it snug.
Oh man, yeah, I'll never forget my uncle showing me the Austin 316 promo when he says Austin 316 says I just whooped your ass. I'm just iconic, fucking iconic, man. Love it. I don't know. I'm gonna say Drew McIntyre. I just like Drew McIntyre, man.
I think Sheamus is probably gonna do his thing.
What is that job? That is another man that definitely should be on top of the card, but is not just because of circumstance.
He's going to do like Rey Mysterio and keep wrestling until they put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, pretty much.
They've done pay-per-view nights when every champion would lose their title, and then it gets to the main event and they go, well, it seems to be cursed. Every time a champion comes into the ring, they leave without their gold. Is this going to be the same thing that happens with Sami Zayn of Cody Rhodes? Sometimes they do that. So keep an eye on if Gunther loses to Drew and Asuka wins it over Bianca. Like if the titles keep changing hands, then they're just setting you up for the Roman Reigns to actually be the guy who retains.
Yeah.
Also, the Usos lost their titles, so with that being on night one, it would be a complete flush for the Bloodline to lose 2 nights in a row. So he's got that going for him. That may counteract anything I've got in my mind about contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the Sami Zayn thing, I think he chooses not to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Kevin Owens, I know for sure he chooses not to go because if you can't have Sami, you can't have me either, which is like noble. But then there's guys like Mustafa Ali who goes and then donates all the money. I think I'm not certain, but I'm sure he uses the money for something positive. And in my head, like these are all, noble things. Of course, you're putting they're not nothing anyone's doing here is bad. But the Mustafa Ali method of actually using the money for good when it changes hands from like the bad guys to the good guys is much more better. You're doing way more good by actually attending these, and Mustafa Ali is giving the money to a charity like in Chicago or whatnot. That's how it's done. Like I don't know why you would ever not go, because like we could talk about the Americans and the bad. I know you guys are all Americans, but you guys kind of have a bad reputation globally.
Yeah,
the money that we get from Vince McMahon
for who knows how long.
I promise I do not represent all my fellow Americans. I'm aware that there are a good majority that are some dumbasses, some actual jackasses out there.
There's
one of
good
the good
people on
ones.
both sides.
India,
Yes.
China, South Africa, Brazil. These guys are uniting to do some sort of like new currency that's going to change everything. And okay, that's got nothing to do with wrestling and my point, but still, I feel like you can do a Saudi Arabian event without Sami Zayn or without a champion. Just have some other gimmick there. World's greatest Royal Rumble or the most money in the bank or some stupid.
Whatever they pull out of their ass, pretty much. Oh man, awesome.
Anybody go see Dungeons and Dragons this weekend?
I'm actually going to go see it today. I got a screening set for 6:00 tonight.
No, but I heard good reviews.
I'm not going to see it because
You're
that's
going to hate Warren.
yeah.
Jesus, do you guys not like Dungeons and Dragons that much? I know me and Rosales do, but
I took my wife to it, and they were sold out of the D20 popcorn balls when they got there.
I'm praying and hoping to God that they have some at my theater. I just saw the pictures online this morning.
The couple that bought the one ahead of us did not get a lid with theirs because they shipped them separately. And the lady said, "Well, we're just going to try to find one on eBay, just the lid." And I'm thinking, you know, that's the guy who stole the lids. If you're buying it on eBay because you didn't get it at the theater, the guy at the theater took the lids home
Because he
on eBay.
Because he knew your dumb ass would come home and get online and start looking for it.
It's $40 for a bowl of popcorn without a lid, and then another $50 for the lid on eBay. So,
oh my god! You know, it's funny. We actually played D&D last night. That's kind of become the new Saturday night thing for me, my uncle, and a couple of my friends from work.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're straight up Schitt's Creek right now. We're playing Curse of Strahd, and they've just wandered into what I like to call the lion's den. That is Barovia. Yeah, they haven't met Strahd yet, but when they do, his presence is definitely going to be felt.
Absolutely.
As for this movie, I kind of like he said, you know, I've seen a lot of the good reviews, and you know, people are saying it's just dumb fun, which, you know, sometimes in my experience, that's really all you really need. You need something that'll allow you to escape from the real world. You know, just go to the movies, have a good damn time, and not be beaten over the head or berated by political and social messaging. So I'm really looking forward to this today, man.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, well, to kind of harp on what you just said and piggyback on it.
Okay.
I think the problem is with any movie or anything is that I think we have become too critical and don't enjoy a movie for what it actually is. So we're going and we're seeing, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that came out.
Well, isn't that the reason you didn't go see Shazam?
No, I didn't see Shazam because
I just reviewed it the other day, and there's varying levels and degrees of fun and stupidity you can have. Like there's fun in the same vein of, oh yeah, that's fun. I enjoyed that, but then there's trying to insult your audience and their intelligence. Once you start insulting the audience's intelligence and their ability to process information, you're just like, just stop. That's what Shazam did to me. I was like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah, for me, I just didn't see it because I'm not even when the first one came out, I'm not a big Shazam fan, so that's why that's why I made a point to say I don't have anything against Zachary Levi.
No,
when I did see it, I'm like, okay, maybe I should have gone, and I left all my judgments for after. But I think like when it comes to any movie now, it's like people are expecting a Scorsese film out of The Little Mermaid. It's like, come on, like it's The Little Mermaid. That's what it is. It's Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it is. It's action adventure. Like why are we trying to make it like why are we trying to compare, like, I don't know, Inception, that was a good movie, and then try to say, oh, this movie's on
and the people that have that kind of thought process only watch Scorsese movies. Probably they don't watch anything else.
And you know, I find it interesting that at only $15 million more than Shazam on its opening weekend, there's a ton of praise being heaped onto Dungeons and Dragons. When I went last night at 6 p.m. with my wife, we went out on a special date night on WrestleMania weekend. A little something for her, a little something for me, you know. We bought the tickets, and there was only there was less than 6 people in the theater, and we bought it same day. you know. So it was empty, and it was empty, and it was empty the day before. And, I kind of thought to myself, well, they shot themselves in the foot with multiple preview screenings. I know they've had previous screenings in LA, they've had some previous screenings in Dallas. They did one last Sunday at 2 p.m., all over the Dallas area. And watching the movie last night, I thought to myself, well, if I saw this in a preview, I'm sure I wouldn't have come back on opening day. It was not like, a Cheech and Chong movie back in the day, where if you saw that, you would come back multiple times to watch it. No, this is, the problem now with doing preview screenings is streaming. Because if you're going to watch it again, you're not going to buy the DVD. You're not going to buy the digital download on Vudu. You're going to wait for streaming, and you're going to watch it on that particular platform.
Right.
So Dungeons and Dragons, they expect it to do better, and they claim that this $40 million opening for a $150 million film is a fantastic thing. And I think right here, what they're trying to get at here is that Hasbro ponied up 50% of the budget. So if you're looking at Paramount with 75 million and D&D pulling in 40 million the first weekend, then yeah, it is a great weekend for Paramount. But that's you're kind of playing with the numbers there a little bit. If you're taking half of the budget away, because Hasbro ponied up for it. So,
do they get also half? They put in half the budget, fine. But does Hasbro get half the revenue also?
They should.
Okay.
But they just like The Rock played with some numbers. I think they're playing with numbers
Right.
to say that it's a big deal. I'm pretty sure that most Hollywood folks don't want to have two bombing weekends in a row. And
Probably not.
you got to wonder with this economy, how many billion-dollar movies cinema viewers have throughout the year. Because you get to a certain point where you're going to have to budget as to which movies you're going to back. And with the amount of money they're spending on these movies just to get made, they do have to wind up making billions of dollars in order to, be successful.
Or be an A24 movie, and all you need is like 40 million, and you're just super successful.
Well, you don't like A24 movies, Killmonger?
It's just that they have a low budget, and they don't have much writing on it. They don't advertise it
They
much.
can get 3 hours out of those films for the budget that they have.
They make do with it. They just have good stories and a good reputation now after Whale and everything always.
What I was gonna say was for Dungeon. I think right now in the movie sphere, the mystical sort of fantasy, there's been a void for quite some time, right? There hasn't
No.
I mean, I haven't seen anything remotely on like the level of like the Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings sort of. I can't think of the last thing I saw that was I haven't seen Dungeons and Dragons, but on a fantasy, mystical, dragony, sorcery level, I haven't really seen much in that.
Well, I think Rosales, I think you might be able to agree with me on this. I think at least over the past decade, I think stuff like the Dungeons and Dragons IP has really kind of gone through a bit of a resurgence. It's gotten really crazy popular over the past few years. Like there's people out there playing it that you would never even like suspect or would even see playing it. Well, no, I'm saying as a property, it is getting popular. And, if if the property's getting popular and people are playing the game, and Paramount comes out and says, "Oh, we're making a movie about it," it's gonna turn some kind of profit because
Right.
people are interested in that property and people are going to show up to see it.
No, I'm not talking about the property per se. I'm talking about the fantasy aspect. We haven't had like a fantasy, like when Lord of the Rings came out, when Harry Potter came out, they dominated theaters. Like they dominated even when Marvel had their like some even back then with Sony and Marvel had a few movies. I'm saying that right now, Dungeons and Dragons has that opportunity to grab that sphere right now because it's saturated with other stuff. That's my point. I'm not saying that. I've been seeing Dungeons and Dragons sort of stuff on Twitch, on YouTube streaming. Rosales, we're watching Vox Machi now, so
Love
this is to cater to your point. I'm talking about having something now that's actually a fantasy-driven.
Something for fantasy nerds. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But I don't know, Rosales, what do you think about my point? Do you think I'm justified in what I said, or?
I was messing with the computer. I completely missed what you said because I'm an old person. What did you say again?
I said I think the Dungeons and Dragons IP is really going through a bit of a resurgence. Like it's kind of grown in popularity over the past decade, I think.
Yeah, and that almost leans on to what Warren was saying. The reason that it's got the gone popular again. You got the big money of Hasbro behind it. You have the fact that it was picked up by Wizards of the Coast to begin with, and you have all of these people that were streaming it because of the way they were running their business on the back end. You could do all this content and not have to worry about paying anybody for it as long as you stayed within the guidelines of their user agreement. And their user license is about to change because products like Vox Machina are being produced by billion-dollar companies like Amazon and are being created by million-dollar companies like those guys that made it in Critical Role. And they're all building off of this one little IP that's not seeing a dime from it. So they are within their rights to go ahead and change their end user agreement licenses. And, they're trying to work it like anybody else. Like if you came up with something at your job while you were doodling, there was nothing there to do. And so you start doodling something down. You come up with an idea. You sell that idea for millions of dollars. Your job really owns that idea because you created it on company time. And that's what they're trying to do. Everything everybody else created they want it to belong to them. They want a slice of this pie that everybody's making from the fruit in their garden.
Now, does this also includes like all the stuff on Kickstarter that people are coming up with, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Shit. I got a few of those books. They're really good.
Yeah. So everybody's everybody's in an uproar. You got all of these third-party producers that do all of these modules and spin-offs of the D20 and whatnot. And so they're all now scrambling to put together their own things. Even Critical Role is going to be making their own RPG. Heck, even I'm making my own RPG based on superheroes. So that's going to be coming in a couple of years.
If you finish that shit, let me know. I'll play the hell out of it.
Yeah, right now the only thing I got is the combat system. So it's pretty simple.
Hey, sometimes simple is the best.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is. But apparently it was Dungeons and Dragons this weekend did far better than all of the movies that have been out forever.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of do a double feature tonight to finish catching up. I'm gonna see Dungeons and Dragons, and then after that, I'm gonna go see 65, which could be a mistake. I don't know.
It would be a mistake. The movie 65 is like the standard space movie,
Yeah. Well, I'm very dedicated, so I'll stick it out.
But sticking with the fantasy, we have been watching Vox Machi now. Not necessarily on stream or anything like that. We just kind of watched we talked about the first season, and this week we're talking about the second season. Jill, did you have an opportunity?
It's a no from me.
Damn, dude, you're missing out on some good ass television, man.
Mhm.
You're missing out on some good ass just animation too, man. It's freaking great.
I'm happy for you.
Fuck. Don't insult me like that, man. Come on.
What did you think about it, Warren?
Second season was I like it, and here's what the vestige thing kind of was like, it felt Power Ranger to me, Power Rangery to me, but I was like, okay, all right, you guys are getting your own sort of weapons, and I get it. And then I thought about it, okay, so but overall, I thought that we got some more. I like that we got some more backstory on each of the characters, like Grog specifically, because I thought it showed that he has more than a peanut for a brain.
That's how most barbarians in the game are, anyway. That's just classic D&D.
Scanlan, he's still trying to figure himself out, especially with that revelation about the daughter, and I think it was Vox. He was getting a little bit emo. Maybe I have the wrong name because I always mix up his name, but
they make a joke about that too. So you're not the only one.
Yeah, like dude, I was like, come on, dude, like just go and figure it out. Like, oh no, and then
it was.
Keyleth, I just want to backhand her because she's just annoying to me. Like, I'm sorry.
What?
I just this is the most annoying. Oh, I'm the ditzy redhead.
Not Keyleth. You leave Keyleth alone.
It's like the ditzy redhead that I was like, okay, whatever. She has her moments when she wants to, like, I think she's pretending to be sometimes stupid, and that's what annoys me. I don't like characters that pretend to be stupid, and she pretends to be. But overall, I thought the season was good. I thought they had they gave each characters their moment. I like how they separated them into having their own sort of stories. Now the whole the thing that this is the thing that bothers me, and I don't mean to go on a rant. How come everyone they fight, it's like they're barely winning? Like when I mean, it's like out of the blue they're winning, and I'm not saying that you're supposed to demolish your rival.
Do you really want to know why? I could tell you why. It's because they didn't. It's because they didn't roll well enough.
And it's like, I'm just like the last episode. I'm like, man, you guys got these vestiges and you're not doing. And then all of a sudden, it's like I was like, oh, of course, Scanlan's gonna come out of. Oh, that's okay. Well
Every
played.
time.
Touche. You got me there. So overall, I think I like this. I do like the season better, but it's just there's certain parts where I was like, why is this guy acting emo? Why is she pretending she's dumb? Yeah, that's it for me. So I overall liked it. Sorry.
What you have is an entire season of animation that is based off of a role-playing game by people that were ad-libbing the entire time. And so what you're doing is you're taking these situations that probably took a couple of hours and condensing them down into smaller bite-sized pieces and getting rid of all of the boring stuff and then adding character development that didn't happen in the game, because a lot of times people don't develop their characters. If you got good players, they will. The characters will grow over time. They won't be the same people that they were by the time they retire the character that they were when they started.
Or they die.
Or they die. Yeah. That was the case in that in that one episode. The girl died She
Dude.
failed. She failed a saving throw in the game. Is what had
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah, and she died. Dude, I will never forget watching this season. And I think it was like episode 2, episode 1, the moment he started seeing the matron of ravens, which legally they cannot call her the Raven Queen because once again, Wizards of the Coast and, properties and shit like that. But, I've watched a lot of the live streams that Critical Role has done, and I've watched a good majority of the campaign that Vox Machina is based off of. So yeah, once they started teasing the matron of ravens and they went into the dungeon where she got struck down, or as Rosales put it, she failed her saving throw. I already knew what was going on. So when you look at Vox or Vex, I can't remember their names either. I can't remember which one's one. You talk about him being emo, but dude, that's very much a byproduct of the Raven Queen or the Matron of Ravens. That's what she does. You become this vestige, this vessel.
Oops. What did I do? What did I do wrong here? There we go. I didn't mean to do that. How did I do that? Okay. All right.
You got tired of me going on a nerd rant.
No.
But but that's very much what the Matron of Ravens or the Raven Queen does to you. She changes you, man. And it's funny because I actually have plans for the Raven Queen in the campaign we're running right now. And
you can run into a situation where any decision you make in the game can literally, and it doesn't happen that often, change your character's alignment. So if you have somebody that's neutral good, they run into a cursed item, and all of a sudden their alignment is switched. And until they can find the difference, this character has to play a certain way, like neutral evil.
Right. So as before he met the Matron of Ravens, he was probably more along the lines of like chaotic good. But now that he has run into the Matron of Ravens and has become kind of her patron or her vestige, he's more like along the lines of neutral. You know what I mean? So he does seem a little more stone cold, a little more sour because his life has become tied to the Raven Queen. So it's like you said,
to drown himself in a pool of blood in order
just to talk to her. Yeah, I'd be pretty depressed too. I'd be like, man, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, but when he came out of it, it seemed like he was more relieved, and I was like, that to me was like good. It's like, okay, finally you did it. Your balls got bigger. You did it. Great, good job, man.
Well, plus to comment on just the little abnormalities that you were talking about. You said sometimes it seemed like their powers were fluctuating. If you've played D&D and you've rolled dice and you've played characters in this game, it's very much like that. You may set up this really cool thing that you're going to do. You'll narrate it, talk about how badass it's going to be, and you roll in that one, and everything you said you were going to do just goes completely out the fucking window. So I think, the people who make the show, they know that people watching this show primarily are fans of D&D. So people like me or Rosales or anyone else who watches D&D, we're going to see little things like that. And in our head, we're going to go, oh, well, they were probably sitting at the table rolling to do all this and they fucking failed. Yeah. So it's the little niche details like that about this show that I really like. And I think is what makes it work.
Yeah. And whenever you see them do something and it's just like they pull something out of their butt and they defeat the creature and the creature falls to pieces or whatever it is, that's because they were at a disadvantage and rolled a natural 20 and did times 2 damage or whatever the heck it is and just boom, nailed it. Just as an example, failing a roll or to hit, attack, whatever you want to call it, would be equivalent to going up to do a flippity-do after a couple of bruisers covered with olive oil went into the corner.
Oh, yeah. Slip right off.
And you just wipe out right there.
But what Nate was saying reminded me of the Sonic movie, which had Easter eggs that didn't even change the movie, but they were there, little sound effects or like Sonic drowning. And I'm like, oh, that's the same animation in the game.
Yeah. Well, even, there's a running joke with Grog when he rages out. He's like, I would like to rage. That's a mechanic in the game that a barbarian can take to double their damage. You know, so people like me who play the game, we see that, we're like, oh shit, he's fucking raging out. That's awesome. Or, you know, like he said, you know, going around collecting all these weapons and all that. That's classic D&D, man. Dungeon crawling, going for loot, building your characters up, and coming back and beating the big bad guy. That's D&D in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And
taking time for a spell to work.
oh yeah, you know, Keyleth has to prepare certain spells. It doesn't just work automatically. There are spells in the game that work just like that. You have to take time to prepare them and to prep them in order for them to work correctly. And yeah, I know I'm kind of going on a little bit of a rant here, but final thing, I do like that a lot of the characters in this season got more time to develop, and we got to see more of, you know, their history and, you know, where they came from and where they're going forward as characters. Because in the first season, it was pretty much all about the character of Percy, which I really like. The thing I liked about the first season was the dark gothic style aesthetic with vampires and, you know, necromancy and all that. That's very much me. That speaks to me, as I'm a very big dark fantasy gamer.
Okay.
So I love that kind of stuff. But one of my main complaints with season 1 was that it seemed like it was all about Percy, and we really didn't get to know much about the other characters. So I'm kind of glad they kind of expanded and showed us a little more, you know, stuff with the other characters and what's going on with them. But really, that's all I got to say about Vox Machina season 2. Whenever they get season 3 out, I can't wait.
I was impressed that they did not finish the campaign out and bring it to its conclusion, and was saving that for the next season. So that was kind of nice to leave it on a cliffhanger like that. Yeah. So all in all, pretty good show. I enjoyed it. I think it's a great representation of the game mechanics and the gameplay. You'll see a lot of similar stuff tonight when you go to the movies. You're going to get a kick out of a lot of the little Easter eggs that nobody else saw as Easter eggs.
Tell me, I swear to God, tell me there's a character in this movie that dies, and then another character comes in played by the same actor. If that shit happens, I'm going to fucking die.
You will survive the night.
I will survive the night. Awesome.
Not going to happen. So, but they do revive the dead in order to ask it 5 questions.
Oh, nice.
And it goes exactly as you would expect it to be. You sorry, DM son of a.
Or the players. Like, sometimes it's not even the DM.
In this case, it was the DM. You could tell it was the DM who had a great time with this.
Like, I've been in situations where the DM will set up something really cool and the players just fuck it up.
I feel nice because you're saying DM, and I'm like, that's got to be Dungeon Master, right?
Yes, Dungeon Master. Yes.
Yeah.
You feel special. You're cultured.
Well, he is special. He is very, very special.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna move over to something a little bit different here. Let me see if I can put this.
I never saw these texts. I know they're out there, but I never saw them.
Yeah, the lawyer said there were some text, and sure enough, somebody let it out that there were some texts from Johnathan Majors, and you can't really see it here. Let me pull it up here.
Hey, I'm gonna begin sharing my screen now, on the share your audience tab. So for everyone who just joined on the Chillmonger live stream tab, in the description that I just put up, Rose Alice Comics channel is there. That's where we are live talking about. We just covered like WrestleMania and a whole bunch of other topics. Now we're getting into Johnathan Majors.
A whole bunch of other topics that was not D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
Anytime you feel like sharing, Nate, you go right ahead as well if you want to. You can share to your channel as well, and if you've got one, Warren, you can do so as well. Okay. But here's the text that was released, and she says, "Please let me move this real quick. Hold on, let me just get this in a different position so I can see it. There we go."
These text messages did not help.
I heard they were bad. Like, I heard they didn't really help his case.
You'll see. You don't want to influence you. I'm going to let you go first, Nate. before I say anything. Warren, did you see these?
I
Rosales?
might be on the phone. But she says, in
Yes,
response to
sir.
whatever came beforehand, please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did this. I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault. Battered woman syndrome. Um, I told them I was trying to grab your phone. I was only just I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're out. I love you. And it says here, continues on.
The fuck?
They just called again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessing or any charges being placed. I read in the paper they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur, and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told about this. She she expects it to go to a judge. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team, and there's nothing to worry about. You're going to need your lawyers.
Yeah, except my career. Yeah, totally.
I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out. And
So the floor beat the fuck out of you, right?
and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior.
Mm-hmm.
Out of care, she promised all will be relayed.
Wow. You know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like that classic traditional story of, oh, well, I know he beats me, but, I know he's just going through some things and I truly love him, but, he's just going through a lot right now. What? What? What?
Well, it's like a backhanded compliment. It's like when you walk up to four girls and go, "Hey, ladies, 2 out of 3 of you are fine."
Oh, shit.
It's kind of backhanded the way she presents it, saying it's not your fault. Nothing happened. I told them there was nothing going on.
So she's saying it's her fault that she got beat up?
But the doctors, when I went to the hospital after collapsing, notified the authorities, and they saw the marks on my neck, and this whole thing started without my permission. Yeah. So.
Yeah, nothing about that really paints him in a better light.
Chill.
It kind of just confirms when she classifies it as a fight that they were fighting. I mean, It rules out that it was him being attacked and him being the victim, and the victim, oh my God, she's trying to see the phone and she's wailing on me at the back of this taxi cab and it's moving and I've got nothing. I can't, I have to rule that out now. She called it a fight. They posted it. I guess it was a fight. And then she says that it was my fault. And the it was my fault makes it sound like it's justified for me to have harm on my face with the laceration and the strangulation marks and everything because it was my fault. I instigated it. So I got all that to happen on my face and it's my fault. No, if Johnathan Majors, what you and your lawyer should want is for us never to imagine you putting your hands on her and creating all of those marks that got you locked up. Instead, you post this tweet, these text messages, I should say, and it makes me consider, I guess he did put hands on her. Now, I could still forgive him, depending on the severity of it, because us defensive maneuver, like, hey, get off of me, I can forgive that. I know Marvel Studios won't, but I can forgive it. But, like, now when I see this taxi cab footage video, should it ever come out? And I see him just like, that's what you get. You deserve it. Don't you ever. If I hear him, like, you know what I mean, doing the whole shebang, I would not. This is not a guy I want to ever see a movie in. Like, he's this didn't help. It doesn't exonerate him or alleviate him of any of the public opinion, which is probably who they were trying to win over. So it doesn't do that. It doesn't free him. It doesn't display his innocence. It was just nothing.
Right. Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. I said this is just. I said I was gonna wait and see if anything else came out, and now that other things have come out, kind of like you, Chillmonger, I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is not looking good for him. At
Yeah.
first I was like, well, let's give him the benefit of a doubt. Maybe there's more to this story, than what we're seeing or what, we're being told. But now that these messages are out there that are confirming, yeah, this wasn't a case of, oh, well, it was an accident or, he was the victim or he was being attacked. No, they were fighting with each other. It doesn't paint him in a good light at all. It really makes me think, like you said, in a fit of rage, he just lashed out at her and, kind of like you, I can forgive him for that. But yeah, he's done some pretty severe damage to his career with this shit.
I think he's fine. I don't. Cause
Not as fine as Mel Gibson.
I mean, he still has
not
a
Mel
career.
Gibson.
The thing is, I've seen many of people. I was watching people break down the same text, and she's not going to press charges apparently. So
she sounds like a abused spouse.
Yeah, she
I
does.
mean, I didn't get it from that. I mean, and I'm not an abuser.
Well, none of us are.
Whoa, wait a minute. What does that even mean? I wouldn't know. I'm not an abuser. Sorry.
I'm not an abuser, so I don't get that sort of thing. What I'm saying is, I think there's a reason why he should, and he should. There's other texts too. I don't think. I think he's fine. I don't think. He's gonna have much issue getting past this. And the thing is that we've seen in other celebrities this sort of agitation, by women, and there comes a point. I'm sorry, there comes a point where even your self control as a man, you rage out. Like you just rage out. Like you just say this one thing. Like you typically open the door and you're like, you know what? After you've finished off you're yelling at me or whatever, I'm gonna take a walk, so I don't do anything. But that's what I was always. So walk out, don't say anything, just walk out, get some fresh air, right? There comes a point where it's like, okay, like what? And then if she did like hit him up a little bit, like it you got to take some accountability too. Like she has to take some accountability, is what I'm saying as well. Let's not make it sound.
If you're Marvel though, and you got a movie called Kang, I don't care about taking some accountability. I'm just not gonna go a press run with you especially if there's a video of you making contact. Even though you, me, and everyone here, I think everyone here have an understanding of, well, I can see why you would have to get physical. The car was moving, you weren't going to go anywhere, you couldn't leave, so you just have to put hands. It's just me and all of us have like a, what's the word, tolerance for it, right? We all do. No,
we all have a switch, and there's a point you get to that I like.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about you as the man when you're under attack. I just mean us as the viewers and the people who are judging Johnathan Majors. I can have some grace for him if, depending on how bad it looks. Because after these texts, I'm just preparing for some physicality to come out and for me to ask myself whether or not I can live with Johnathan Majors or do I have to drop him? Is he canceled? That's the scenario that we're in now. Because I don't know this guy outside of the movies and interviews. I just know.
Well, that's why we have to say thank God for Johnny Depp, because like if his thing's not out there. Let's be honest, right? If Johnny Depp doesn't get cleared, any sort of act now in a major celebrity would be like, Majors would have been already canceled and they'd have been starting to recast Kang. Let's be totally frank about this. Let's not sugarcoat it. If it wasn't for that case and for him winning, having evidence, having recordings, text messages, I'm sure Majors is going to have other stuff to bring to the table. But from what I read, she's not pressing charges, so doesn't seem like anything's coming from this.
But just reminder, like that. Sorry, Rosales.
No, I was just going to say that, if anything, Ezra Miller has taught us that you've got 3 felonies in you before you get canceled.
Exactly. Thank you.
Right.
Like that's and I'm not trying to make this a white or black thing, but what that man has done a lot, right? But yet he still is going. They're still going to bring out this movie, and it's Stephen A. Even though I don't like him sometimes, most of the time, there's a certain measure where a black man's measure at, and there's a certain measure where a white man's measure at. And let me tell you, Ezra has gotten probably 10 strikes, and he's still at third base waiting for that home run. So to me, Majors.
Huh? That's not how baseball works. He has 10 strikes and he's on third base, huh?
That's my point. That's my point, Michelle Monger. That he's gotten so many strikes, but they're still letting him play the game.
So he's had many at bats during this
Right.
game. Okay.
Yes, and he's still playing the game. That's what, which is staying in Hollywood, and that's why a lot of a lot of black spokesmen are like say, hey, try to not to get in trouble. Try to make sure you have receipts, because they hold us to a higher standard for some odd reason. Maybe that's just me, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, there's a conspiracy going on right now, which I don't even think is a conspiracy. It's something to think about. He's arguably one of the fastest rising stars in Hollywood right now. I mean, I think he had 2 movies last year. He was in Devotion. I think he was in something else. I can't remember. And then just, of course, this year he made his debut as Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Say which one about that movie. Creed 3. I thought Creed 3 was really good. He's been in some pretty major films over the past few months and has been rising as a star. So if the theory is, if there was any time to try and tear him down and ruin his career, it would probably be now.
I said that last week, and I said that I'm like, oh, isn't it a coincidence that this man's like on the rise, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna.
I don't subscribe to that. All of what you're talking about is theories that were happening PC, pre-Cosby.
Pre-Cosby.
Okay? Because you had only one show on TV at a time, or one movie at a time. So you had one black actor at a time that was allowed to be on the big screen, one black actor that was allowed to be on TV at a time. You had the same thing going with Hispanics as well, and I think you had like I would see a show with a Hispanic guy in it where he was a gardener, and he had his family, and the comedy was based on all kinds of working class stuff like that, and you would only have one at a time. Let's see, you had Chico and the Man for a while, and then
George
you had
Lopez.
George Lopez. It just you didn't have all of these plethora of things, which, by the way, in the 90s, the doors were just flung wide open for everybody, and everybody was happy, and everybody was producing, and everybody was on TV. There was a heyday of black comedy going on in the strips in LA, and on TV. You had the birth of BET, which really didn't do a whole lot for anybody, but it happened. And you got Tyler Perry with his own studio and things like that. And then you have these where somebody latches on to something that happened. In this case, a man had to handle his business in the privacy of his own Uber.
They're coming for you.
Allegedly.
And the woman had to pass out and be taken to a hospital later on, and had
And
to
remember,
show
he
some
called.
things. He called her to check on her, and she, in what I assume is a power play, says no. Okay.
No, that's not what happened. He called her to check on her.
Isn't that what the text said?
He never calls her during these texts, because these texts happen after the news from TMZ hit. These texts are afterwards. You know, do you get it? Like,
she's explaining to him in the text that she's actually laying it out like a point of record. Like you said, it doesn't look good, and
No.
she's laying it out as a point of record so that it doesn't look good. But she's also putting herself in the position of being two things: a victim and the person who helps the victim. That's how she paints herself.
Mhm.
yeah,
You know, I don't want you to get in trouble. And so when I talked to the police, I told them it wasn't your fault.
I see that. Yeah,
I talked to the police and I told them this wasn't your fault. It was my fault for reaching for your phone. You know, so it's yeah.
Yeah, it just, you know, I could still. I was just gonna say real quickly, you know, I could still be playing devil's advocate. I don't know. I hope this isn't some big ass smear campaign against him, but I also hope that this, you know, what happened. I really hope that what happened truly didn't happen, because, you know, I like the work he's been in, and, you know, I would like to see more of his art and his craft. So for, like I said last time, for his, you know, for his future as an actor and his livelihood, I hope none of this is true.
about whether or not it's a smear campaign, it is a smear campaign based on everyone who's been reporting it and the angles that they're taking. Even before these text messages came out, like, we had nothing. He called the police himself. He was arrested for domestic violence, but
Oh yeah, I know.
but like, sometimes people lie. We don't know anything, and we treated him like he was guilty.
You're always going to have people that are going to jump on this kind of shit without any real evidence or things to go on.
And look at what happened with Dana White, who on camera put hands on his woman. The way TMZ broke that story was on January 2nd. So the thing happened at New Year's party. On January 2nd, it's a live stream with Dana and the TMZ guys. You know, those two, the main guys. And they're talking. Yeah. They're like, hey, Dana White, this and that. But Dana, you guys were drunk, weren't you? And Dana's like, no, man, alcohol, it's not an excuse. And they're giving Dana all these alley-oops so he can dunk them and say all the right things. And I'm like, no. You did not give Johnathan Majors that.
I've got issue with Dana White when it comes to slapping his woman. And let me tell you why. He had been producing slap battles for who knows how long, putting that together. And he used none of the techniques that he learned.
You had me.
Oh wow. But yeah, I
think we need to wait on more information to happen, because if the police don't charge him with anything, I mean, they've already arrested him, but if they don't indict him, then it's a moot issue. I think if Disney was going to release him, then he would have been they would have gotten rid of him already, like the Army did. You know, boo on the Army for.
Yeah, they dropped him like a sack of potatoes.
So, you know, we'll just let's wait and see what happens, because, you know, news is going to break at any moment, any given time. So, Harley Quinn apparently got a makedown, and they replaced. They're doing this Joker thing with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, and this is her version of Harley Quinn. You guys got any thoughts on?
Looks like Lady Gaga going to a costume party.
This is trash.
Some kind of rave.
This is trash. Sorry.
I'm not saying it's trash. It's just.
No, it's trash. Come on, man. That's not Harley.
Here's the thing. When that joke, to this day, I still feel like the only person in existence that was totally against the idea of a Joker movie. I remember when they even announced it and toyed with the idea of coming out with it. I was like, why? And even when they dropped the first, promotional images of Joaquin Phoenix in the makeup and wearing the suit, I'm like, you see, this is what I'm talking about. I don't want this. I'm glad there are people out there that enjoy the Joker movie. I'm glad there are people out there that think, it's got a story to tell. But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's just a Joker movie. I don't care.
Well,
I like the Joker as a character, but I don't. The Joker to me is a character that I should not feel bad for. You should not have to look me in the eye and go, "Oh, you should feel bad for him." What?
Well,
What, Killmonger?
You
I was just waving at Basco.
Oh,
You
okay.
bring up a good point because that's what, for a time in Marvel, and people were trying to do the same thing with Carnage. They're trying to make Carnage this like sad character and like make him a hero, and they had that whole switcheroo where how he's you never read that storyline? Like it's just been an ongoing thing where they're trying to make Keltis Cassidy a serial killer, a hero. Like they've been doing it for quite some time, and it's just not working. And like to me,
It
I
could
get
be me.
I agree. I get it. I agree with you. I'm saying that Joker. It's like to me, my problem with the Joker is they're using a character that's related to Batman because he's the top, the creme de la creme, right? When I personally think they should have never done a Joker movie. I think, and I wholeheartedly been saying this for the longest time, I think if you're going to do something solo, why not do a Nightwing movie? Why are you doing this character? Bring up Dick Grayson. Make Dick Grayson now become the spotlight, not Bruce Wayne. Like, people do like Dick Grayson. People do like the Nightwing character. He has a huge following. He would have done so much better to me than Joker, but because that the Joker, you can easily like have a cameo of Batman. That's why they use it. That's what I think.
For me,
There's
what
lots of people out there who like Dick Grayson.
Oh, I thought you were going to say there are people out there that just like Dick. Oh God. But kind of go back to what I was saying. I don't hate the idea. I mean, I think the image looks fine, but that's coming from someone who really just doesn't care. I mean, I'll go see the movie just because, I got to review it, but I'm not going to let that look or that image affect my life like a bunch of other people are going to, because I've seen the comments on Twitter and I've seen comments on the internet, and yeah, people are mad as hell about that image.
Well, it does solidify the direction in which they're going. And being an Elseworlds property, it has no incentive to follow any direction that was led before it.
Right.
Joker being Joker before there's even a Batman, I took issue with initially. But when I realized somebody was just parodying the King of Comedy, then I thought, why put much sweat into it? So that's my thought on it. Jill?
I think that I'm not going to watch this movie. It's Elseworld. I don't like this first Joker movie. I don't understand how they're going to flip it into like a sing-along kind of movie.
They're doing some weird shit.
And it's the first movie told me it's not going to be no comic book accurate. We already have a Batman in Robert Pattinson. There's going to be a new Batman coming with the James Gunn's Peter Safran DCU. There's nothing to invest in. I can wait till streaming. I'm sorry. I don't need to see this. This is for those artsy fartsy Academy Awards people.
And there's is A24 producing this?
Might as well. Yeah.
They might as well, yeah.
So you got also Acne Joker coming up in the Batman 2. So that was promised to us in their
I'll get my Joker next year. I'm fine.
That was actually not a bad deleted scene, but I see why they deleted it. I was like, yeah, that would have been a little bit of an overload.
Just a little bit. And I hear they're teasing Clayface, so
yeah, I've heard that too. I've already seen fan made posters of like Batman's face dissolving into what looks like Clayface. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool.
Oh, that's an interesting take. They want to rebrand Harley while also rebranding the Joker.
Into what though? Because like I said, yeah, because to me, like I said, to me personally, I think the reason the Joker works as a character is because he's unpredictable. You don't know his motivations. You don't know that much about his backstory, where he comes from. He's just, like he says in The Dark Knight, I'm an agent of chaos. I just do what I do because I want to. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. So, like I said, the whole point of that Joker movie was just, oh, well, we got to make the audience feel sorry for him and give a reason as to why he's so crazy. And no, I think the Joker works better when he's unpredictable, when he is chaotic, and he just does whatever the hell he wants because he's the fucking Joker and fuck everybody.
Yeah, and my thing is like, I mean, we're gonna get a like how much can you drag this? Like, I think for me, I haven't seen the Joker, by the way, because I refuse to see that movie. I'm like, no, I'm not seeing it. I would have been okay with Joker if it was like an HBO Max show or something like a HBO Max show, because it's like, well, then when are we gonna get like the Clayface movie? Let's know about Matt Hagen and what his life was about and how his being an actor, or the Victor Freeze movie. You see where I'm getting with this? It's like, come on,
Yeah.
Well, we're
What?
getting the Penguin TV show. We're finding out what he's all about.
Yeah, but
and
that's a
what his
TV
backstory
show.
is.
That's a TV show based in the universe, and I'm okay with that because it's like, all right, it's there. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not gonna be,
Did you ask for it though?
no, but I mean, I guess Colin Farrell did such a great job as a Scarface penguin. So whatever. I mean,
There was an episode of Batman the Animated Series, the original one, that had a cool take on fandom. They had all these kids that were walking around telling their stories of how they saw or witnessed the Batman, and each one of them had a different interpretation of the Batman. And what they did was they had they paid homage to Bill Finger and that classic style of animation Batman. They did Frank Miller's version of The Dark Knight in that cartoon as well. And they had one kid stand up and say, "My Batman lives on Broadway." And everybody said, the girl who was there said, "Yeah, right, Joel." As in Joel.
Wait, I don't get the joke. Joel who?
Joel Schumacher, he is the one that did Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which is still to this day regarded as two of the worst depictions of Batman of all time.
They had all
hey, that kid was just ahead of their time, man. That kid got the movie that kid wanted.
Yeah, he's getting it now with Joker 2. The music, so there's a little something for everybody, and everybody gets to have what they want and see what they want. So let's see, what do we got here? We got here some news about Disney, and apparently an announcement, not really an announcement.
Oh, dismal Disney.
Says. What does it say here? I can't hardly read that. Hold on. Make this big for my old eyes. I got rid of it again, didn't I? Damn it.
I got young eyes, man. I couldn't even read it. You're good.
There we go. Vincent D'Onofrio had something to say about the Batman, not the Batman, but the Daredevil, and how there's going to be a season 2 where everything gets culminated in. So not only are we going to have a full season of Daredevil with more than 8 episodes, we're also going to get a second season where everything pays off. So it's looking to be a grander experience than what we got with, say, the She-Hulk.
What, the Walk of Shame? That's the culmination he's talking about?
No. He's saying that there's a big story. It's going to be a big story, big plot. It's going to go over 2 seasons, whatever the storyline is, and it's going to be a big payoff.
I know. I'm just making a joke about how, is that what the culmination in season 2 is going to be? Daredevil just taking another walk of shame.
It'll be She-Hulk walking this time, though. So
She'll be in New York. My take on this is that I don't know if they can go a second season, even though things were planned. Marvel, as of right now, I'm not just talking about the Kang stuff, but with Victoria Alonso being gone, with the restructuring and the deciding that quantity of content is not our answer. Are they going to burn one of their few Disney Plus series on Daredevil? Will it be worthwhile? Or do they got to wait for season 1 to happen, see if it's successful, and do the second season right after. I don't know if these plans will actually come to fruition, because we're at a crossroads now at Marvel Studios where nothing, I don't think anything in the future is set in stone. Like you would think Avengers is, right? But Avengers can change just because Kang Dynasty may not have Kang in it, and they might fast forward and do the X-Men. I think the only thing that's set in stone is that Sony will make a Spider-Man movie next year. And they're filming Captain America New World Order, which I call Falcon New World Order. That's it. That's all we know. That's for sure.
It's
I'll be
Captain
watching it.
America. Stop it. It's Captain.
No. It's Sam Wilson's identity is Falcon. Steve Rogers goes by Captain America.
Captain America's a mantle. Let's not get into that argument. And he was not even the first one. Let's not get into that, please. Steve was never the first one. Even
I don't care if he's the first one. He's the primary one.
Oh, Lord. Anyway.
Alan Scott is the first Green Lantern too, but we know it's John Stewart.
I mean, Steve was called out by Isaiah's son in a comic, so it doesn't even matter. Even he admitted it. But
George Washington was the first president, but when I say the president, I'm talking about Joe Biden.
That's irrelevant.
That's kind of relevant. There's a little bit of a point you could take.
It's a pretty fair analogy right there.
I mean, Joe. Oh God, that's American government at its finest.
I don't know. To me, I really think
my cap.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, Disney's going to do whatever the fuck they want to. I mean, speak with your wallets. If you truly don't like it, don't support it.
No, I subscribed to Disney Plus a year. They got my money.
I think it's going to be good. Okay. So in regards to this, Daredevil is one of the things. I think that's why they had to do the rated R's for it, because there's no way you could
Well, I've also
bring back that. I mean, without making it rated R.
Well, I've heard Vincent D'Onofrio say recently that the show is going to be violent, kind of like the Netflix show. He's probably just pulling everybody's legs, because there's no way in hell Disney's going to let that kind of shit fly.
Werewolf by Night was
I don't know. They
violent.
can lay hands on a woman.
I mean, Werewolf by Night was really violent, actually.
Yeah, it was probably. You're right. It was probably the most violent thing Marvel has done, but the whole thing was in black and white. That's how they
man.
No, seriously, that's how they got away with it. That's how they got around it.
Semantics, though, it's still violent. I mean,
I was PG.
Sin City was black and white, and that was violent as hell. What are you talking about?
But they still censored the blood by coloring everything yellow.
It's still violent. It's like it's like saying it's like watching the Truman Show and saying that not Truman Show. It's like watching, I don't know.
I'm just saying, I don't know what the level of violence he's talking about could be in this show. I mean, if they do push the bar a little bit and they do kind of start to dabble with the beginnings of some R-rated stuff, cool. I mean, I know they're doing Deadpool 3. If that makes a ton of money in terms of profit, they might start dabbling more and more in the violent side of things, because I think they could do it, and would show people, and it shows. It's money speaks, man. People will show up and watch that kind of stuff.
I don't think it's Mike and others have been saying this for years. At some point, Disney has to grow up. Not everybody, people that watched Avengers were probably 14 at the time. Even then, some characters are better in a great. I'm not saying they have to be like Werewolf by Night, where you're cutting off heads or you're dismembering. But some characters have a very more gritty, more. You can't PG-13 everything. I've been saying this for years. Like, eventually, you're gonna have to do things rated R, and you're gonna have to say, you know what? I get it. We're Disney Plus. We're Disney, but that doesn't mean you can't have rated R content. That's not saying that you're showing tits and
yeah, exactly. Because I don't care about nudity that has no place in no Disney. But like
Right.
when it comes to violence and stabbing and stuff, that's such a different thing. Yeah, give me that. I don't care. Just keep me if it's
Yeah.
rated R because of the blood, fine. But just stay away from boobs and stuff.
Yeah, nudity, all that stuff. I mean, and even I think even the nudity in the Daredevil Netflix show was very, very tamed at best. I don't think they even had much at all.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, what between Karen didn't do much. The nurse, they had one scene, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this was like something off of Pornhub. Like,
Oh, you're talking about the
Pornhub,
nudity
sorry,
and
Pornhub,
sex. You're
Pornhub.
talking about the nudity and the sex. Okay, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about the blood. I was about to say no
Yeah,
blood
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Daredevil show. What are you talking about?
I
showed
distinctly
off his
remember
blood
seeing in the
only
limousine
twice.
with Kingpin.
Right. He turned
Right.
he turned that guy's head into apple pie, dude. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, and like think about Deadpool. Like, I think a lot of people would be Deadpool fans would be up in arms if it was a PG-13 movie. There's a lot of characters that you just can't and
Yeah, man, I agree.
grow up. I mean, not you, of course, but people that have watched the Avengers. They were like I said, they probably were 14 when they saw it, and they're now and they're some people were 14 when they saw it.
Everyone was 14.
Not
Some people were 14. You're right.
Some were 14. The problem is remember the whole thing with Disney was that we make things PG-13 because we can bring everybody into the box office.
Mm-hmm.
And now they realize with the failed face that's not really working. Sorry.
And you know what though? They did accomplish that. Everyone knows Marvel, so you don't got to worry about that. Take the risk now. You don't have to worry about not being PG-13 anymore. Your audience has grown up. You've been around for 15 years, so they're old enough to watch this rated R movie.
Yeah,
I think everybody has. Oh, what was I doing? I was distracted by my son there talking in the background. Kids in the background edition, ladies and gentlemen. I do have kids, and none of them are 14. But we have a whole entire generation of Marvel viewing fans who have never known a world of cinema that did not have a Marvel movie. Can you imagine that? There are people out there who have never seen a summer without a blockbuster Marvel movie out there.
It's nuts.
Been there for their entire lives. They've always known it, just like we've always known Paramount and 20th Century Fox, or in my case, the closest resemblance is going to be James Bond.
Right.
I've never known a time where there hasn't been a James Bond movie because he's been around for so long. He was the original franchise, long before the Star Wars franchises and everything else. It didn't play out as big blockbuster like the Star Wars and the Jaws did when they introduced the idea of a summer blockbuster. But as far as franchises go, James Bond was the man. And we got a witness. Kingpin hit Kate Bishop, and she got up and stomped him out. If that's the direction they're going in, then I can see some people having issue seeing Daredevil getting beating to a bloody pulp.
Yeah.
Scene. I don't think she got stomped out. I mean, I think John and we've both seen Kate. I don't think she got stomped. I think she got thrown like a rag doll throughout the entire scene, actually.
But she survived.
Survived. I mean,
he should have turned her head into mush.
I mean,
it may be comic accurate, but Kingpin got shot in the face and he survived.
Yeah, he
Right.
did get
He's
shot in
not
the
the
face.
same Netflix Kingpin that they saw before. He
Right.
survived an explosion. That's how she took him out.
So it's been a year and a half since Hawkeye, right?
Yeah.
And she's not gonna be in anything for another year and a half, right? She's not gonna be in Captain Marvel 2 or Guardians.
No, they're saving her for Kang Dynasty, I think.
Bro,
Yeah,
the continuity is missing right now. Marvel used to have things like Black Widow shows up in Iron Man 2. You'll see her in Avengers. You'll see her in Winter Soldier. You'll see her again in Civil War. Like she appears. Everyone appears every year. You see them. Not anymore.
Yeah. But
Just
again, just like DC has issues with money, Disney's running into issues with money, and so they
Who
are
told you
having.
to hire Haley Steinfeld? You guys have a lot of money. You can find an unknown. The same way you find unknown directors, go find an unknown actress who will change her life and get a little 20-year-old Kate Bishop to run the streets who will sign like a 9-year deal for $43, and you'll get that.
What billion-dollar franchise has she been in outside of this? None.
She's in
She hasn't even been in.
Transformers.
She was in Transformers.
She's a singer. She's a name though. She has other dates. She has a schedule that is filled.
She has recognition. Yeah. And
So
social
get
media.
people who don't have that. Get unknowns, scouts, try.
They are trying. I've got word that they are looking at TikTokers. Over millions of
What
fans.
they trying to cast Safe Space and Snowflake? What the fuck?
No,
Are we on full screen?
the ones that do the makeup tutorials and have the multi-million followers and things like that. They're looking for other ways to reach the brand new audiences. So,
You mean an audience that doesn't give two shits and a fuck about these movies?
absolutely. It's wrong to see Logan Paul in wrestling, but it's right from a marketing perspective if you're trying to reach outside of your core audience who is rapidly gaining my age. So
That's right, Warren.
I don't know what to do with Logan Paul except keep him out of Japanese woods.
Just oh wow.
He's the reason we have all of these advertisement like loopholes. Whenever I post a video and ask me to add an ad, it asks me to check. Does it have controversial issues? Does it talk about this theme, abuse? And then you have to submit it, and then it's got to check, and then it's such a headache. Thanks, Logan Paul.
Just to kind of piggyback off something you were saying earlier, Rosales, but we kind of steered away from it. I was born. I'm going to be 25 years old this year. I was born in 1998 on November 3rd, and even before the
life is over.
Right. Well, even before the MCU, we always still kind of had superhero movies coming out during the summer. I mean, you had your X-Men movies, your Spider-Mans, even your few little Fantastic Four movies kind of leading up to 2008 with Iron Man. So even right. So even I can't recall a summer or any time before the MCU where, there wasn't, a superhero movie in cinemas during the summer.
Yeah, but those movies, they got 3 in and then they restarted. It was always 3 out and then reboot. 3 out and reboot.
I mean, I remember seeing, God forbid, I was a kid and my uncle was excited for it. I mean, I was there to see Wolverine Origins in the theater. I was there to see Spider-Man 3 in the theaters. I saw Rise of the Silver Surfer in the theaters. So
God,
even before,
the torture you went through.
I was a kid, man. I didn't know any better. But and I still think Spider-Man 3 is not that
That's how
bad.
you build a franchise. I mean, the sequel trilogy was for you. It wasn't for me. And it built a lifelong fan.
I can make an argument for that. I had my Star Wars. Luckily, my uncles knew to make me watch the original trilogy first. And I'm talking like the old original trilogy, not the special editions. Like I'm talking the old VHSs. That looked terrible. Yes, Han shot first.
Why are you breaking out the VCR? Because this is the real one.
Why are we doing this, Uncle Jason? Because this is the way. And then, I had the prequel trilogy. So, the original Star Wars trilogy and the prequel trilogy, that was my Star Wars.
Yeah, but your uncles didn't tell you to watch Rocky 4 and 5, so I don't give them points.
Well, I have a question then. So,
well, they think Rocky 4 and 5 is terrible, which I don't know. From everyone else I've talked about, maybe my uncles are in the wrong. I don't know.
To kind of mention what Shomar was saying about how they've been coming out with a lot of stuff. Do you think that with only having 2 shows, do you think these 2 shows will be very good this year then?
No. No, that's got nothing to do with it. Because they got individual screenwriters. All of these films, shows, whether it's She-Hulk or all the other bad ones, it didn't matter that there were many of them happening. Who cares? They independently have screenwriters who they hire who are not fans of the source material, who muck things up and want to insert their own take on what this show will be. So I don't care if Daredevil is going to be alone. It doesn't matter.
They pretty much outed the
No, that's not what I was saying.
They pretty much outed their writer's room in She-Hulk.
I said with basically, so right now we're getting this year because we're only getting Loki season 2 and we're only getting Secret Invasion.
Yes.
And that even got pushed back because they wanted to check stuff. I'm saying with all this stuff that's been occurring, do you think that they learned from those shows so that since that we're only getting 2, it'd be a better quality, even though there might be different writers and producers for this said show?
I'm saying that the number of shows per year isn't the problem. So no, reducing it to 2 won't change that.
Little wrestling reference right here. The numbers don't lie. They spell disaster for you.
But it does give them more time to work on it. It gives them an opportunity to go back and fix any visual effects that may be lackluster.
Paula, if you hear me.
Oh, man. Love that man. He's fucking awesome.
Did you catch the Scott Steiner reference, Warren?
Yes.
Shit, you are cultured. Congratulations.
Even though he has weird nipples now because of steroids.
I got 33.3% of that joke.
Hold on. Why do you know he has weird nipples now because of steroids?
Because I was watching.
Pornhub?
No, bodybuilding.
He's just laying down in bed at night looking at old pictures of Scott Steiner and his
hell no. Hell no.
There's this TikTok that he doesn't follow because he's not on TikTok.
That's true. I got rid of that cesspool.
I've never had a TikTok before, so I wouldn't know.
So that brings us to the lightning round, guys. The lightning round is making its return this week, and it's just a real quick hot take. We will go from Warren to Chill to Nate, and we'll get your quick take on these quick little comparisons, this or that. Vacation or staycation? Warren?
Vacation.
Staycation is cheaper.
Staycation. I like my personal space.
I would have stayed home if there wasn't a movie out I wanted to see. Absolutely. Staycation. I'm a cheap bastard. Black and white or Snyder color?
Black and white.
Snyder colors.
Black and white.
It's basically black and white. Come on. All-American breakfast or a Dutch baby?
Dutch what?
All-American breakfast. I'm sorry.
All-American. Oh, sorry.
I'm going Dutch, baby.
Because you're Canadian.
I don't eat bacon. I see pork on that side of the screen, so I'm going with the Dutch.
You're going to go Dutch baby after your face went.
People was called a Dutch baby. I'm like, what am I looking at? I can see the blueberries.
Yeah, there's blueberries. There's some clotted cream right there. You know, there's some powdered sugar on top of that. It's an egg-based kind of thing. It's baked up in the oven. It takes about 45 minutes. It's light and fluffy and golden on the outside, kind of like a popover, but
You know your answer.
That does sound good, but man, I gotta go with the all-American breakfast just because there's nothing like sitting down at a Cracker Barrel with your grandmother eating mama's pancakes, man.
USA.
If you're sitting with your grandmother at a Cracker Barrel, you are not eating mama's pancakes.
Oh shit!
All right, red velvet cake or apple pie?
Ooh,
damn.
Hard.
Ow, damn. Why you gotta put me in this position, dude?
Oh, wow. Apple pie. You can have it any time of the day.
Yeah, let's go apple pie for the health. It's got apples in it.
Just because I'm not a regular apple eater, even though I will eat the shit out of apple pie, I'm gonna go with red velvet cake.
Red velvet cake, yeah. I had a red velvet cake that was made. It was made from scratch when I was working in theater back in the day. I'm talking about like actual theater with actors and an audience and everything else. Yeah, this was well after when I worked in the movie theater. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Homemade red velvet cake it just melted in your mouth. It wasn't just some red tinted chocolate cake like you're going to get at a grocery store. This was a slice of heaven. That's what that was.
I
So I'm
couldn't
going with
agree
apple pie.
more.
The photographs are top notch too. Whoever took both of these, wow.
There's some great photography on these desserts.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to Google. So,
Oh,
all right,
God.
Humvee or EV?
Do you even have to ask that question?
That's an EV Humvee, by the way.
Which one's? I mean, I guess the Humvee's the left one, right?
Yeah, that's the gas guzzler.
Uh, I guess the EV, because I've never been a fan of Humvees, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll go with the guy on the right, the EV.
I guess I'll go with the EV just because it's probably better for the environment. Maybe. I probably
going with
sounded
the
like an
Humvee
idiot
myself.
right there.
I'm going with the Humvee myself. It's got better shocks. That other one, even though it's a Humvee and it's a Humvee in name only, it's sitting on a Ford chassis.
Oh, shit.
All right. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, forgot about this. Yeah. All right, guys. Last thing up. You're stuck all the way with Darth Vader. Your birth month is the only one that can protect you. Are you dead or alive? Warren?
I am dead because I have Jar Jar Binks.
I got Chillmongers born on January. I got Qui-Gon. So I think with Darth Vader, that'd be trippy, man. He could get emotional with him. He can say, Anakin, no, Anakin. And, emotionally get him.
He could probably put up a decent fight. Maybe. I don't know. And of course, I already said my birth month earlier. Yeah, I'm pretty much wasted.
You're R2D2.
R2 is my co-pilot. I don't know. I mean, R2 has gotten people out of sticky situations before.
No.
So.
Well, I'm dead, and it's not fair to Mace Windu about it, but yeah.
Oh, God.
Dude,
I love
say
how
he's
I've made a joke about Samuel Jackson in the prequels plenty of times about how he looks like he wants to say motherfucker so badly. like he's sitting there in the council chambers just going, take a seat, young Skywalker. Like before that, you would know like before that, if this was normal Samuel Jackson, he'd be like, take a seat, motherfucker.
I think every single awkward pause is him censoring himself.
Yes.
He did almost kill the emperor.
Yeah, he did.
But he didn't.
I'm tired of these motherfucking Sith Lords in this motherfucking Senate.
Did you guys, by any chance, since we're on the topic of Star Wars, did you guys see by any chance this group that's making they're doing this slow project, but they're doing the Clone Wars animated version of the last of Revenge of the Sith fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan?
I have seen that, but I don't care just because I got my live action fight, and plus the Clone Wars animated show ended so perfectly that I don't need to see that.
My version of the Clone Wars was a 2D animated show that.
The Samurai Jack one.
Abruptly.
The Samurai Jack one. Yes.
Brandon Tarnowski. He's got a great show on HBO right now.
Shaggy the Jedi.
Primal. And it's a really good show. There's not a whole lot of speaking lines in it because it's a caveman and his dinosaur, and it's just awesome.
It's just a beautifully animated show.
Any last words, guys, before we wrap this up?
Last words. Well, sometimes you gotta be like Wayne Brady and choke a bitch.
Apparently, when you're Johnathan Majors, sometimes in life, you just got to throw hands. Okay, that was horrible. I'm sorry.
I knew a guy who punched down a girl, and this was many years ago.
Uh-huh.
And he took her all the way down to the ground. But it wasn't until after she punched him 5 times in the back of the head. So
You see, I can kind of justify that. You know,
technically, it's self-defense.
yeah. Don't get me
But
wrong. I think hitting a female in general is wrong. But dude, if they are on top of you, beating the shit out of you, like borderline getting ready to kill you,
Nate,
yeah, uppercut that bitch like a bus driver.
Nate,
Yeah.
if this was 2012, I'll be all for it. But since they want equal rights, it's equal fights now.
well,
That's
she did
so
have
wrong.
she had 3 inches on him and about 150 pounds. So I think it was worth it.
You know,
I got Samuel L. Jackson saying "motherfucker" in Iron Man. It was a deleted scene. Did you guys see it? When
I did not see this.
yeah, about a month ago it was released.
I am Iron Man. You think you're the only superhero in the world? Who the hell are you? I'd like to talk to you about a business opportunity. Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, mother.
Yeah, it was on Jimmy Kimmel when they had Jon Favreau on just last week. Last month.
That is awesome. They should have kept that in. They should have ended the movie right after that.
Uh-huh.
Hey, they weren't owned by
Should have had
Disney
this
yet.
queued up.
They weren't owned by Disney yet. They could have gotten away with it.
Hang on a second. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I couldn't have queued this up even if I wanted to. Oh, that's not it. Where the hell did it go?
That's not it. That's not it.
It's gone. It disappeared.
Gone.
I had a crowd
Reduced to atoms.
studio applause, and it's not playing. That is not it.
It sounds like people clapping, but it doesn't sound like a studio.
You're hearing people clapping. I'm hearing music.
No, we hear it clapping.
That's strange. That is so weird how messed up this is. All right.
Technology. It's
I
scary.
reject your reality and I substitute my own.
Oh shit.
Things are not just going right. But that was awesome with Samuel L. Jackson there.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, who knows? Maybe they shot that in the back of Jimmy Kimmel's office.
You know,
For the
one.
show.
You know, I actually do have a bucket list, and one of the things I wrote on it ever since I saw Pulp Fiction as a kid, I was like, I need to somehow meet Samuel L. Jackson so he can call me a motherfucker at least once. Like if I can get that, my life will be complete.
All you need is an Alexa.
Yeah, probably, and a
No,
couple
he's
hundred
got-
bucks.
There's an app with Samuel L. Jackson where he gets to talk to you through the Alexa as one of the voices, and he is as filthy as you might think, and tells the dirtiest jokes. And if you tell him thank you, he will respond exactly like you would expect him to respond. It's fabulous.
Huh.
I need Samuel L. Jackson as a voice navigator in my car. Oh man, is Marvel still on the rights to Meteor Man?
Meteor Man. Well, if they do, they're going to sit on that for a while.
I'm saying just use the top black superhero that's ever existed in the history of fiction. You guys just gotta recast to have that happen. That's all.
One more quick thing, just quick thoughts for you guys. Apparently Stephen Yeun is being eyed for the Sentry. What do you guys think about that?
Sentry's a white character. Stephen Yu is a Korean guy. He will be bolstering and uplifting and elevating the existing white character rather than a Korean character, which would be very useful and would have long effects.
I don't think he's gonna
afterwards.
play him, honestly.
Okay.
I have a feeling he might play Fixer, a well-known Thunder. Like when I compared his picture, I was like, and Stephen Yu, how he's played complicated characters. Fixer has been a complicated character within the Thunderbolts for quite some time, and a lot of the backlash they're getting is that, you know, Baron Zemo might show up later, and Fixer was a part of the old Thunderbolts, and they could kind of put him in. I don't see him playing a Sentry. That'd be just too too race bending and too silly. I honestly think that'd be too silly. I think he's gonna play Fixer. That's
Maybe
my
they're
honest.
finally bringing back Fu Manchu.
Oh
I
my
get carried away now.
oh,
Oh Lord.
oh
Lordy.
man. Oh, Fu Manchu.
Oh, they started production for Thunderbolts. I heard though. I believe.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, they got to because they're on borrowed time.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Harrison Ford is old.
Yeah. Well, that's really all I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Well, guys, it's been fun. It's been a great morning of conversation. We went in totally different directions than we normally do, and that's sometimes you got to do that. I don't know if next week we will recap the WrestleMania, but definitely if somebody breaks another leg in a live pay-per-view, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I'll let you know if I'm in for next Sunday because I have a really complicated month coming up. So I'll let you know ahead of time.
Fantastic. Sounds great. Not everybody can make it every week, as you can see. The females dropped out this week. They had other things to do, which is fine. But we will be back next week. At least me and Warren will be for sure, 100%, unless he's sick. Unless
I'm
he's got the
feeling better
Rona.
now.
Oh, good, good.
Feeling better. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, you don't have that long Rona, do you?
No.
Uh-oh. But
But you know, thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for your comments. You know, we enjoyed reading them, and go out there and make it a great